Hi guys, I'm going to be doing a series on school tips, and this can be for high school or for college students. It doesn't matter. I'm in college, so naturally a lot of these are going to be more geared towards a college student, but if you want to go ahead and get ahead on your study skills and you're in high school, definitely watch these videos because they will be helpful to you. Um, the first one I want to do is reading tips because I find that it's very difficult for students to read effectively. And if you're not reading effectively, then what's the point in even doing it? So it's a very important skill to learn how to do. And these are just some tips that will hopefully make it a little bit easier for you. Okay, first tip is read the book. I know that sounds kind of stupid and kind of self-explanatory, but you'll find that a lot of students just don't read the material, and this is especially common in high school. I know when we hear the teacher say, read this chapter, it kind of translates to us as, oh, no homework tonight. So that's very important to read your chapters, even in high school, but especially in college. And most college students, if they do read, they'll kind of just skim through it, not really comprehend what they're looking at. So make sure that you actually do read. Second tip is read the entire page, all the charts, all the side notes, all the footnotes, everything. Make sure that you read the whole page because that professor can pull a question from anywhere in the book. And you want to make sure that you've actually read it. So definitely make sure you read the whole page. Also, learn all the words you don't know the meaning to. I know we tend to go through and look at all the bold words and write them down. Even if it's something that we've known since first grade, we'll still write it down. But we may overlook some of those words that we don't understand. And a book's not going to highlight or like boldface a word if it's already gone over it in the past. It will probably assume that you've already known it. So if you didn't learn it then, make sure you learn it now because the book's not going to go over it again. That's up to you to go back and review that word or that term and make sure that you really do understand it. Read more than once. I know that we read through a chapter and we're like, okay, I'm done. But try to read through more than once. Even if you're not reading as intensely the next time, at least try to skim through it. And I'm going to go through this in a little bit, how to go about doing that. Don't assume that you only need to learn what's mentioned in class. If the professor tells you to read the chapter, he's saying that for a reason. He or she is saying that for a reason. Because they can pull a question from the book or they can pull it from the lecture. If they go over it in lecture and it's in the book, then absolutely you need to know it. But chances are anything from the lecture is going to be in the book. So make sure that you kind of keep a balance and that you learn both. Use the notes that you take from your reading. You take those notes for a reason. Obviously, at the time of reading, you didn't understand it. So make sure when you're going through your reading notes that you understand them now. And then also look at the headings in the book. That's something I think we just kind of naturally skip over. We're just wanting to get through the main text. But if you don't know what you're reading about, it's not going to do you much good. Like tonight I just read something about proteins. It was like, proteins, lipids, all these different things. If you don't read the heading, then you're not going to know what it's talking about. And it's going to be harder for you to remember these and keep them separate if you're not looking at the headings and understanding exactly what you're reading about. And then there's kind of a method that I learned for reading. And the first thing is scan. Go through, look at all the bold terms, look at the headings, look at the charts, look at pictures, look at the questions either throughout the chapter or at the end of the chapter. A lot of books have that. Or at the end of the chapter, they'll put main points from it. Read through those. That way, you know what the chapter is gonna be talking about, and you also know what you're gonna need to learn from that chapter. So that way, when you're going through and you're reading, you know exactly what you're looking for. And the next thing is the next section of this method is read with a purpose. When you are reading, sit down and get rid of all distractions. When I know I've got to do some intense reading, I shut down my computer completely and I close it and I put it in a drawer so that there's no chance I'm going to flip it up and get on Facebook or on YouTube. It's just strictly you and your book and your reading. Don't worry about taking paragraph notes. Don't worry about highlighting yet. Just read through the entire chapter word for word. If you find that you're not concentrating, go back and read what you weren't paying attention to. If it's a long reading, try to break it up. Maybe take a little break, 10 minutes for every hour or so. But make sure that you are reading with a purpose. And the third thing is review. Now, this is the point where if you choose to take paragraph notes, a lot of people don't like them, but I do. If you choose to take paragraph notes, this is the time to do so. And also highlighting. The thing about highlighting is a lot of people get really crazy with it and they wind up highlighting 90% of the chapter. That's not going to do you any good. Only highlight the things that you're having trouble with or that you need to look at again. Otherwise, when you go back to look at it later, you're going to be like rereading the whole chapter because you'll have it all highlighted, and that's really counterproductive. So wait till after you read the whole thing and then go back and highlight things that are super important or things that you really need to look at again. And then as far as paragraph notes go, I have a reading notebook for each class. I don't think I'll need the entire 100 pages, so I'll put like two. This is a one subject notebook. I'll put 2 subjects per notebook, and I try to keep it to where they have something to do with each other. So these are 2 of my science classes, and I keep them in here. And what I have in here, oh my goodness, I put the headings. I don't know if you can see. I put the heading right here, and then I put all my notes about that. Also, this is important for note taking in general. If you write down the wrong word, mark it out completely and change it. Don't just put one little line through, because if you don't completely get rid of that wrong word, then you're going to get confused and you might wind up learning the wrong thing. So, last but not least, do those questions at the end of the chapter. If you don't know them, go back and reread that and keep reviewing that question until you know it. Another thing, because I mean, obviously the professor's not going to just take all his questions from like that list of review questions. Try to turn headings and stuff into questions. For example, if the heading says the Beatles changed their image, change that to why did the Beatles change their image? When did the Beatles change their image? How did the Beatles change their image? Try to make questions out of that and make them very open-ended questions. So if it's an essay, you know that you'll have enough information to actually write an essay about it. If you're wondering why I'm looking down, I have everything written that I want to go over so that I don't miss anything. That's all I've got for reading. If you have any more questions about it, please write a comment and I will try to respond. And my next video will actually be over study tips and like note taking and stuff. Well, I'm going to probably make 2 videos. So it'll either be study tips or note taking tips. I'm not real sure yet. But so please comment, rate, and definitely subscribe so that you'll know when the rest of these videos from my series will be posted. Thanks, guys. Bye.